Okay, welcome everyone. I just got through watching the New York Liberty against the Minnesota Lynx, a repeat of last year's epic finals. That was one of the best finals I've ever seen in my life. That was just great. They had two games go to overtime, and every single game was like decided on the last like 10 seconds of the game. That was just epic. So New York's came in shorthanded. They don't have Breonna Stewart. They don't have Sobley, and they don't have Kennedy Burke. So New York had an uphill battle in this one, and Minnesota was Minnesota. They were rolling along, and you could almost tell what was going to happen right at the beginning of the game, like in the first quarter. It seemed like every loose ball was going to Minnesota. Like you'd hit a rebound and someone would tip it on New York, and then it would tip and it would go right back to Minnesota. And so you could tell like just the flow of the game was going in Minnesota's direction. And as it turned out, that was what happened. But, the last, I think like 5 games, New York has just started out, not that they have started out slow, but the other team has started out hot. And they're in a deficit that they've had to try and make up. And they almost did it. They got it all the way down to 4 points. And they had an 11-0 run. Minnesota, with like less than 2 minutes left, had a 11 or 13 point lead. And I think it was more than that. I'll have to check, but it was a significant lead with a few minutes left, and New York was like, "Oh no, we're not having this." And they, Ionescu hit a three, Johannes hit a three, Jonquil Jones hit a three. Sabrina drove to the hoop and got fouled and hit the shot, but then Minnesota came right back. They came right back. Carlton, I believe it was Carlton, hit a three, and then all of a sudden it was back up to 11 points. But New York kept fighting. Sabrina was determined. She was definitely determined. But it was they missed a couple of layups. Phee missed a couple. Cloud missed a couple. But it was just kind of a sign of the way that things were going, and you can tell how much. I mean, New York really needs Stewie, and I mean she's a MVP player for a couple seasons, and you need her. And they were saying that she's probably going to be out for weeks. Apparently they announced she had a bone bruise on her knee, which those kind of things can last a while. It's like groin injuries with Caitlin Clark. They take a rest. It's like you can't really do anything other than rest them and hope that it'll work out. But Minnesota was humming. They were hitting threes. McBuckets was hot. Carlton was hot. Courtney Williams wasn't hitting her shots, but she had like 15 assists. She was like, okay, well, it's not dropping, so I'm going to be passing the ball. And I'll look when I look at the stats, but she had at least 12 because the game was still going on and they had announced she had 12 assists. So she was very active, but there was New York. Oh, the other thing was New York had made a push right at the end of the third too. And I think they got it down to 6 or 4 points or something. And then the start of the fourth quarter, Heidemann, boom, three, boom, three. And then she hit cut and a layup. She had the first 8 points, and all of a sudden it's back up to like 13 or 15 points or something, whatever a lead. So it seemed like anytime New York had made a push, and, they were certainly trying. They were doing it. They were making headway on that lead, but in the second quarter, Minnesota took a lead, and then they just never relinquished it. And any run that New York made, they just had a run of their own. So, but that's why they're leading the league. I mean, they are 23-5 now. New York has dropped to 17-9, and Minnesota gets the win, 100-93. That's the third team tonight that scored 100 points. So people are shooting, not people, but players are shooting well. Both teams shot just about 49% from the floor. Minnesota shot 48% from three, and New York shot 35%. So, very nice game. Let me look at the turnovers. Yeah, 9 and 11. That's, anything around 10 or less, and you're doing really well. So it wasn't a whole lot of turnovers. The points off turnovers were even. Excuse me. Get this tickle in my throat in the summertime. It's like an allergy or something. So it started off 24-24 in the first. And then in the second, the Lynx just outscored them and got a 9-point lead, 27-18. New York lessened that. In the third, they outscored them 20-17. So they got that down to 6. So it was 6 at the start of the fourth quarter. And then Minnesota outscored them by 1, 31-32 in the fourth. The fourth was just back and forth, 3, layup with a foul, another 3, another 3. The fourth quarter was very exciting. And Sabrina Ionescu was just, you could see the determination on her face. 31 points. She was throwing up some threes. She was 3 for 8, but the 3 she made were all, I think, in the last quarter. But she was also driving to the hoop and, initiating, and just very, very, very good game for Sabrina. She had 5 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and she even got herself a block. Maureen Johannes, she was part of that. She hit a couple threes. She makes some errant passes. I wouldn't say they're not errant, but they're careless. She just kind of flips it to the her teammate, and 2 of those got intercepted, and she's gonna need to stop doing that. It's kind of like her style, she does that one-legged 3-point shot, and she just kind of throws it with one arm. But sometimes she'll do that and not put enough on it, and it gets intercepted. So those are her 2 turnovers. She also had 4 rebounds, but she shot 50% from the floor. She was 5 for 10 and 4 for 9 from 3. Phee struggled this game. She had missed a couple of layups, like just gimmies, and very unlike her. But she only scored 6 points. She shot 2 for 8. So she was an 0 for 3 from 3. She did get 2 points from the foul line. She had 6 assists and 3 rebounds. And she also had a steal. So New York was going to need more from her than they got tonight. And Jonquil Jones, she had 12 points. She had 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, and a block. But, one of the key points in the game, Jonquil Jones, who's 6'6", had Elena Smith, I think it's Alana Smith, on her. And Jonquil Jones was doing a fadeaway jump shot, and Smith blocked it. That was like, boy, you don't see that every day. That was a great play by Alana Smith. I mean, to block 6'6" Jonquil Jones, that's just, my eyes went big when that happened. But great play by Alana Smith. Sabrina, 31 points again. She had 4 assists and 5 rebounds. She had a turnover, a steal, and a block. She was 55% from the floor, 3 for 8 from 3. Natasha Cloud, 12 points. She missed a couple of those layups too. She was just going in too hard and too strong. But that's how you could tell things weren't going New York's way, because it was more than just 1 or 2 players. She had 7 assists and 4 rebounds and 2 steals. She shot okay. She was 1 for 2 from 3 and 4 for 10 overall. But, if she had made those, I think it was like 3 layups, she'd be, which she should have made. But Stephanie Talbot she had a basket. She had a nice cut to the hoop and ended up getting a foul shot too. So she had 3 points. And then Isabel Harrison, she's been playing really well. She was 7 for 10. She's been going really strong inside. They've been hitting her on a cut and just going down low and going up with it. And 15 points for her. So nice job for Isabel Harrison. That was she's been playing strong. She had a steal, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds. So that was it for New York. New York ended up having 31 rebounds, and Minnesota had 41. That's the part where you could see it happening. Like, just any loose ball was going to Minnesota. And 10-point difference in rebounds, that's where you miss Stewie and Kennedy Burke and Sabally. They're going to be the ones going in there and getting those rebounds. So Minnesota, Phee was Phee. She was fantastic in this game. Just fantastic. 30 points. She was 11 for 16 from the floor, 2 for 4 from 3. And she missed some free throws, though. 6 for 9. That's unusual for her. But she had 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, a steal, and 3 blocks. Just Phee being Phee. Just that 5-tool player. Bridget Carlton, 10 points. She was 3 for 8 from 3. And she had a foul shot. She had 6 rebounds, 1 assist. Let's see, who else? Alana Smith, 12 points. And she had 3 blocks also. So between her and Phee, that's 6 blocks on New York. That's awesome. Alana Smith also had 3 assists and 5 rebounds. Kayla McBride, boy, when McBuckets gets hot, it's game over. She was 5 for 9 from 3. That's 55%. 24 points, 5 assists. She had 4 turnovers, though. She usually doesn't have that many. 3 rebounds. She was 8 for 14 overall, 57%. Courtney Williams, she only scored 6 points, but she had 13 assists and 9 rebounds. She almost had a double-double without scoring as a point guard. That's incredible. She had a really nice block too. I forget who she stuffed. She stuffed someone tall, like taller than her. It might have been Talbot. I can't remember, but someone was going in and she just skied and went bam. She had a steal and a turnover. So nice. I mean, although she shot bad, every other part of her game was fantastic. She was 1 for 13, 7%. Oh, Courtney. Jessica Shepard, 8 points. She had 7 rebounds, 3 assists. She had a turnover. And she shot 4 for 6, which is 66%. Which most of Jessica's shots are right under the hoop, so she should have a high percentage. Heidemann, 10 points. She had 8 of her 10 points in that first, 30 or 40 seconds of the fourth quarter, because she hit 2 threes and a layup, and that was 8 of those 10 points. So that was most of her scoring. She was 4 for 7 overall, 2 for 4 from 3. And Diamond Miller played 4 minutes, but she didn't score. Let's see. She did get a steal. But that was that for Minnesota. And they get the win, and they lead the WNBA. And tomorrow we have just one game on. It'll be the Valkyries against the Washington Mystics, and that ought to be a good game. The Valkyries are my home team here in Northern California, so we'll be rooting for the Valkyries. But the matchup with the Lynx, with the Mystics, should be a good game. So we have something to look forward to tomorrow. And hopefully it's a good game and it goes the Valkyries' way. But we'll see. Should be a good one. Okay, we'll see you next time.